What is up, guys, and welcome back to another career mode video on F1 2020. This is episode number 20, coincidentally enough, of the My Team series here for the Mexican Grand Prix. Make sure you check out the previous episode if you haven't seen it already. US Grand Prix. We had a pretty tasty race there. But it is time for the new episode, and we have some sponsors to renegotiate. I'm just going to come right out and say this. I want to re-sign Alkins Energy. I love their logo, and I know some of you guys are saying that they're a energy, like proper energy company. My first thoughts about that brand was that they were an energy drinks company. You know how like Monster Energy, it says Monster Energy, but you know, Alkins Energy. You know, I thought it could be the same thing. So I'm going to roll with the concept that they are an energy drink, and we are going to be hashtag better than Red Bull, like some other energy drink company tried to be. Didn't work out too well for them, but let's see if we can scrounge something together. I've also gone for a new sponsor in Zanzer, and their goal bonus was just too hard to ignore. 500k, but the caveat is I need to finish on the podium. So it's going to be tough, but to be fair, the previous sponsor we had, Satellite, it was very, very hard to do 100 laps over the course of a Grand Prix weekend. I feel like, I don't know, we're getting to the point where maybe we could get the odd podium or two. I feel like at this end of the championship, reliability will be an issue for a lot of the top teams, and we are getting better slowly. So, you know, it's happened before. We got 2 podiums this season. I feel like we could maybe get another one. So, if we can get that big 500k boost, then wow, look out. But anyway, upgrade-wise, we are just making an adaptation to the engine side of things. Money is going through the roof, but that is because we are saving for a driver to sign for next season. So I think the budget is going to be around 10 mil. I don't want to spend any more than, say, 11 if I absolutely have to. So let me know who you think I should sign. On my short list right now, George Russell, Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc, Daniel Ricciardo. That's the kind of vibe I'm going for at the moment. I want someone who's quite handy, but not stupidly expensive, like a Verstappen or a Hamilton. We can't afford them, or a Vettel. I think it's going to have to be the guys in the high 80s, and their acclaim only rises as time goes on. So it may get to a point where their acclaim level rises, and I may not be able to afford them come the end of the season. I'm not too sure, but practice went well. We were very fast, very, very fast in practice 1. We did a qualifying run, but I did have a newer engine in. I normally have a pretty tired old engine in for practice, and this time around we were able to extract a lot more pace, and I think we looked like a fish out of water. No, that's not the saying. We were a big fish in a small pond in practice, but we're going to come crashing back down to reality once everyone chucks their fresh engine components and turns up the engines as well. It'll be a true test to see where we are. But I think this will be a good weekend for us, so stay tuned for hopefully a good result. Leave a like, subscribe, and let's get into qualifying for the Mexican Grand Prix. It's quali time here at the circuit, Mexico, Hermanos Rodriguez. Yep, I can never pronounce it. So, good luck getting me to say that ever again. Here we are, Q1. I am quite excited for this session, given the pace that we showcased in practice 1. It's not really correlating at this stage. We're down in P20, kind of languishing, even behind our teammate for good measure. But Mexico has always been a circuit where you can do quite well against the AI. I've had a lot of breakout results here, and I feel like we're a lot better than P20, what we're showcasing at the moment. We need to remember as well, we're at 110, and Mick Schumacher isn't overly quick. Well, okay, he's decent. He's like 76, 77 pace, but the people we're contesting with are all 80, high 80s in terms of pace as well. So he's kind of, I should be doing better than Mick if I am worth my weight in gold. And we did show that a little bit towards the end there. We beat him by 5/10 on that final run. So we do dig ourselves out of trouble. I do need to remember that, yeah, I need to be doing quite well because Mick doesn't have the greatest stats in the world. We are trying to train him at this stage, but to be honest, it's getting to the point where Mick's just not good enough. And we need to divert our resources elsewhere. Yeah, I'm getting to the point where I'm like, nah, we should probably not train Mick so much and put our focus into the team itself, because there's no point putting resources behind someone who we're probably not going to keep. Not unless he really impresses in today's race or in the final couple before we end the season. That's just where I stand on things. Mick's just, I felt like by now he would have had a points finish, but it's been disappointing to say the least. Q2, and you can see we're up by 5/10. The time that we did first time out was on a used set of softs, so it's not going to be an amazing lap. We do find a lot of time on the fresh tyre and on a ramped up track with better grip. We do come across the line and we go P13 to end that session. So we do pick up a couple more places as we squeeze through into Q2, but we will not be taking any further part in qualifying. Carlos Sainz, my rival, 4/10 clear in P10. He's really been smashing me in the rivalry, and it's all down to starting position. We just haven't been able to get the one-lap pace out of this car. I'm thinking about upgrading the DRS for a future episode, because that may be something that's letting us down. We seem to be fine in race pace, so I can't really put my finger on it.
Welcome along to the most populous city in North America, and home now to the Mexico City Grand Prix. It's a sellout crowd as usual here at one of the shortest circuits on the Formula One calendar. So who, I wonder, will the crowd cheer on today to the top step of the podium?
All right, this is Jeff. Can you hear me okay? We're further back than we hoped, but you can still get a good result from there.
Further back than you hoped? If I'm further back than you hoped in P11 with grid penalties, then I would like to know what your message to Mick Schumacher was. I hope you gave him an absolute blast. Anyway, it is race time for the Mexican Grand Prix. We're going to do a 2-stop. Hards and a 1-stop is not faster. Plus, I'd rather be on the better tyres to round out this race. Get the fastest lap, maybe, if I can, in the rivalry. But today is a monumental day. Lewis Hamilton only needs 4th or better to win the championship. So keep an eye on that with good interest, and we could see history being made in today's career mode episode. Fuel-wise, we're going to take a lot of that out. The Honda engine has been so economical. We've always had to underfuel the car in order to not have to run too much rich. But it's time for the race now. 5 red lights, and the Mexican Grand Prix is underway for Season 1 of My Team Career Mode. Starting on the medium compound tyre, it was not going to be easy getting off the line here, and you can see we're absolutely swamped as we get up into top gear, and absolutely nowhere for us to go. We've got the Alfa Romeos either side of the racetrack, and we see Giovinazzi going for a big boy lunge on his teammate and the Alfa Tauri, but it's been a chaotic start for us so far. Really just boxed in, had my ears boxed basically by everyone around us. We lost 2 positions, and we'll look to fight back if we can. Try and be the lead runner on medium compound tyres. We get past Giovinazzi, dance around the outside of Kimi Räikkönen, who chose his line poorly behind Carlos Sainz. Someone up ahead, maybe the Racing Point, is looking a little slow up the road, and we'll get a replay or a third-person view of what's going on up there. We can see Lando having a go at Lance Stroll, and that was really costing us all quite massively compared to the leaders who are all running their own race at this stage. So you can see the breakaway pack of the Ferraris, the Mercedes, and Daniel Ricciardo, funnily enough, having a great start to this race. Daniel has been doing so good as we nearly run into the back of Carlos Sainz there. Was not expecting them to go so slowly into the stadium section. Let's hopefully negotiate past these guys who are just dawdling on this first lap, or the second lap now. Start of the race, same thing. We go around the outside of Carlos Sainz. Turns to the inside for the next left-hander, and it looks like we are going to get him. A lot of space had to be left there, a lot of cooperation from both parties, but we are through and into the points now. So it's been a good start. Only those in front of us now are on soft compound tyres and maybe slightly compromised in terms of strategy. So I'd imagine that there's going to be some opportunities that open up for us later on in the Grand Prix whether it be just chasing people down, just getting free positions because people might do a 2 or 3 stop, or alternatively, we'll have the softs to absolutely fly past people with better pace towards the end. But that battle with Signs is not over. He flies right back past us in that McLaren, which seems to be very handy in a straight line. And we're just going to have to follow him through, it seems. Frustratingly enough, would have liked to have followed Verstappen, the faster car, the faster driver. But it's not to be. And if anything, we're just losing touch with Signs as well. So it looks like the medium compound tyre isn't a match for the soft at this stage. But with the tyre wear here at Mexico, it's always very, very harsh. And I'd imagine those guys would fall back into our clutches, especially now that they're battling as much as they are into that first chicane. It's crazy how much the AI can lose time sometimes, just squabbling side by side. They would have lost nearly a second just in those few corners alone. And in actual fact, we fell back into the DRS range. But then, half a lap later, we were out of it again. So it was a real seesaw battle in the opening 10 laps of this Mexican Grand Prix. We can see Max Verstappen making an early stop in this race. He is either going to be doing a 3-stop or is going to be heavily compromised in terms of pace with tyre wear. So that'll be one to watch. But meanwhile, for the leaders, we got Daniel Ricciardo still right on the tail of the Ferraris and the Mercedes. And Renault has been developing really well this season. And if anything, I feel like they're actually outperforming where they're standing on the performance index, really punching above their weight. So too is AlphaTauri sometimes. They're like the second or third worst car, yet they're really competitive in qualifying and some of these races. It's a sight to behold. Speaking of a sight to behold, that is us in P1 right now. Everyone has made their stops. Our pit window is open, so we'll be boxing at the end of this lap for another set of medium tyres to get us quite a long way into this Grand Prix. You can see both the Mercedes getting held up behind the Alfa Romeos. And that is absolutely music to my ears. It'll keep me nice and close to them, maybe, once we all make our stops. But in we go for medium tyres. We're going to rejoin in maybe P15 or something. It's much worse track position than I thought we were going to rejoin into. It's actually P16 behind one of the Haas's. What a disaster. But I think a lot of these guys haven't stopped yet. Like Grosjean, Schumacher, the AlphaTauris, they've all got to come in. So it looks a lot worse than what it is right now. So let's just hopefully clear these guys and make some inroads on Max Verstappen very quickly, who's only a few seconds up the road. So he did get a big undercut, but we are actually going to be quite a bit faster than him, you would think, given that we've got 5-lap fresher tyres. That's going to make a massive difference here in Mexico. So we're going to fast forward into hyperdrive mode as we try and catch up to our teammate. You can see hitting all the apexes, no real mistakes here. Utilizing the full width of the track, even riding up on top of curbs somewhere, some places, in an effort to just help that approach speed, apex speed, if you will. But we seem to catch people at really good points in this middle stint. We were able to get DRS off of Magnussen there as he pulled into the pit lane, and now we are back in our home territory of P11. Again, knocking on the door of the top 10. You can see Max Verstappen is actually a bit slower than us at this stage. We did predict this with his older tyres. So, yeah, he might be struggling to get to the end of the Grand Prix maybe on a 2-stop strategy. I'd imagine he'll probably go mediums again, given how early he did stop on his first set of tyres. So he will be one we'll probably be chasing down in the dying laps of this Grand Prix when we put on the softs. And so too with Carlos Sainz. He's actually on softs himself. So it looks like the McLaren able to run double softs to get to the end, whereas the Red Bull has to run mediums. Perhaps that's something they need to work on. But more problems for other teams, where we've got Charles Leclerc out of the Mexican Grand Prix. We've seen the Ferrari be a bit unreliable in recent races. I believe in Cota we had a failure or two, and maybe even the race before that we had another failure for the Ferrari. But it seems to be a very, unreliable car, which is costing them valuable points on a day where the Ferraris are in contention for the drivers and trying to put up a fight in the Constructors' Championships. It is not faring too well for them at all. Meanwhile, up front, we've got a Mercedes 1-2. Hamilton has actually made his stop, but it's Bottas with the ascendancy at the closing stages of 2/3 of the way into this race. We have Daniel Ricciardo residing in P2, so he's having the race of his life in that Renault right now. And we are closing up to Max Verstappen in the Red Bull. don't have too much battery to play with there. I'm down at 1%. My battery is going to die. I need to get the charger out. But we do get some track position on Verstappen before needing to plug in for some more electricity. But 14 laps to go, and pretty much everyone has made their stops with the exception of Lance Stroll in the lead. Bottas rejoins just a few seconds up the road there. You can see him there. We're trying to follow him as much as we can, but that is going to be a lost cause, that Mercedes on fresh tyres. There's no way I can keep up with that thing. But yeah, we're getting to the pit stop window now. We can see Stroll finally, and he's on to medium tyres to run to the end. Racing Point doing really well in this race. I think they're effective P5 and 6, and that's going to be big points for them if they can hold it all together for the remaining laps. Meanwhile, Hamilton on his new tyres has caught up to me, and I'm doing my best to not battle and not fall into a squabble. That's the last thing I need. I'm not racing the Mercedes. I'm racing the likes of Red Bull and the Racing Points and both of the McLarens. So we let Hamilton go. We put it down into lean. I don't want to be running side by side into a braking zone. That is just asking for time to be thrown out the window. So we save a bit of fuel in the process, and we're going to get some slipstream and maybe DRS off of Hamilton. But no, the detection point for both straights is at the final corner. So if you can get DRS for one straight, you get it for the second, and it's a lot of time gained. But there we go. We can see the battle for a podium unfolding right now between Daniel Ricciardo and Sebastian Vettel, two former teammates fighting it out here. And I got to say, these two cars look absolutely stunning. Just fighting side by side. I can't call this. This is a really good battle as we see Seb fight back and get back into effective P3. He's left the door open, and Daniel takes that space, or does he? We can see it's just a little bit tit for tat. They're trying to leave each other as much space as humanly possible, but it's really clunky to run side by side at a high-speed section like that. Fair play to them for doing that, but they lose a lot of time in doing so. But it looks like Daniel is through for P3. That Renault has got a lot of straight line speed, even up against the Ferrari. So you can tell what they've been working on over the course of the season. And I hope that Renault, for their sake, they've been consolidating their engine upgrades, because otherwise they're up a creek without a paddle with the regulation changes striking for Season 2. Meanwhile, we've got Carlos Sainz battling with Lando Norris. While that was happening, Jeff was telling me that Carlos Sainz was having an issue that was slowing him down, but that's just contrary. He just overtook his teammate, so he can't be being slowed down too much. But I guess we'll see if we can catch up to him, as we've now boxed for the soft compound tyres, and you can see how quickly we caught Magnussen on our outlap, and now we are looking to set after Max Verstappen. We thankfully got DRS off of Magnussen again, and this will really catapult us towards Verstappen on our fastest lap charge. I was really happy with that and how much progress we were making, but we're now getting to the point where I'm kind of worried that Verstappen is actually going to hold me up here on our fastest lap attempt. We are purple to the first and second sectors. It's been an absolutely phenomenal lap so far, but now we're getting disrupted a little bit by Max Verstappen. We're catching him at the right time though, because we're going to get DRS on this start-finish straight, and this will probably set us up for another leapfrog moment on to lap 29. Fastest lap of the Grand Prix, a 1:14.4. That's not too far away from what I did in qualifying, which was like a 13.7, which is absolutely insane considering we don't have the engine modes for that. But regardless, we got DRS and slipstream at the perfect times over the course of the lap, and we have an extra point against that name for the time being. The two McLarens fighting tooth and nail. This is really costing them. We got the slipstream and DRS off of Verstappen, which basically gave us the catapult or the slingshot towards the McLaren drivers, and now we got the inside of Sainz, who's nursing some kind of problem. P8 in this Mexican Grand Prix is really starting to open up for us in this final stint. I was not sure where we're going to be after that first stint. When it came to an end and we came out in P16, I thought, points may be difficult, but the soft tyre has really come alive at the back end of this race. The conditions have also helped as well, being overcast. It's going to look after this tyre. We have a little look up the inside of Norris, but unlike his teammate, he had amazing straight line speed. I wasn't able to get anywhere near him, even with DRS. Overtake and slipstream, it was just not viable. But second bite of the cherry, and we go for the dive bomb. Does work. P7, 6 points against our name in today's Grand Prix. I think that might be the maximum we can get now with the racing points 8 seconds up the road, respectively. It's going to be a good day, even with 7 points against our name. We have a yellow flag up ahead. It's the other Ferrari of Sebastian Vettel. He is out as well. So a double DNF for Ferrari on a day where most likely Lewis Hamilton is going to go on now and win his 7th world title in Formula One. In the Constructors, Mercedes are in a very precarious position as well. A very ominous position, I should say. They are on target to win the Constructors as well. So, my goodness. What a day. What a contrasting day for the two top teams in Formula One. We're now lapping someone for the first time in our career. I think that's the first time we've lapped someone. Nicholas Latifi going a lap down. So, not bad. Not bad at all. This is why Mick Schumacher is going to get fired, because I'm lapping someone who was not far behind qualifying Mick Schumacher. Anyway, Hamilton comes across the line, P2. That is all he needs in the drivers' standings to claim his 7th world title. With that 1-2 for Mercedes, they also take the Constructors. A very dominant season from Mercedes, and much like one you'd expect in real life this season. For us though, P6, 8 points. Not a bad day out.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
And so the celebrations begin, and well earned they are indeed. It may have looked simple at times, but as any racing driver will tell you, competing at this level, at the very top, is anything but simple. There's no catching them now then. We have a new World Drivers' Champion. That's a spectacular victory then, and with it, the championship is secure. It's been a magnificent season, and they thoroughly deserve the cheers of the crowd here today. Anthony, tell me, what was it that helped them achieve this success?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.
It's a bittersweet day for someone like Bottas who wins the Grand Prix, but at the same time has just lost the title to his teammate. Doesn't seem to be phasing him all too much on the podium though. But, you know, big shout out to Daniel Ricciardo for getting his first podium of the season. At least I think that's his first podium in the Renault. Absolutely mega effort there. He got in front of both the Ferraris before they retired. And just had the pace on merit to get there. Also, a big shout out to both the Racing Points. They managed to fight back pretty well from P7 and P10, respectively, to get 4th and 5th today. Awesome drive. And I think with that points haul from those guys, they might jump Marduk Motorsport in the Constructors. So, yeah, a day like this puts things in perspective. The fact that I just lapped someone, that being, you know, one of the Williams, which was just behind my teammate in qualifying. Both the Racing Points having a stellar job today, overtaking us in the Constructors, and Mick, you know, starting down in P20, P19, whatever it was. And he got P15, he moved forward in the race, which was nice, but still no points after what has been a very momentous season. We've had so much momentum all season. We've just been building and building and building, and Mick hasn't shown that same commitment. He hasn't shown that same tenacity required to fight through the field and get points. So, yeah, I think it is almost inevitable that we will drop Mick Schumacher at the end of the season. As much as that pains me to say, I would really love to stick with the same driver from the start to finish and have them go through the trials and tribulations as well. But when we're getting to the point of season 2, where if we have a really good number 2, we might be able to challenge for a Constructors title. Maybe. I mean, if we're really lucky and really aggressive. Having someone like Mick dragging us down is not helpful. So that's where I stand, and having a good solid number 2 or equal to me is only going to help that much more in consolidating better positions in the Constructors. It's a good teammate is going to be worth their weight in gold. We know how much we can earn from passing the end of season objectives and finishing higher up in the constructors. Just finishing one place higher, it means so much. It's worth spending the extra investment on getting a good driver. But anyway, I'm going to stop waffling. Guys, thank you so much for watching. It's been I really enjoyed this race. It really opened up for us at the end. The pace at the end was amazing. We got fastest up at the Grand Prix, so an extra point against our name. I think it was, I know I said 8 points, but it's actually 9 points for the tally. And yeah, I'm just really happy with the development of the car and how things are trucking along. On our side of the garage, we do need to address what's happening on the other side, but that will have to wait until next season. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you need to see plenty more racing game content. 5k now until the big 500k. At this stage, I don't know what to do in terms of like a celebration. I haven't done like a milestone kind of video in a while. So if you've got any ideas, let me know and I'll try and put something together. But regardless, thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, I think we got Brazil next, which is always a classic. Until then, I'll see you next time.